Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to process the big WTF Game of Thrones ending. Just remember that George R. R. Martin says never take anything as gospel, so it's not over till they actually roll credits on the final episode of the final season. These will be my season 6 predictions, and as is tradition, they have some new cast members coming in that I'll do a video for at some point. There's still a couple book things that they have left to do. For the most part, the show has caught up with the books, with book 5. Winds of Winter is supposed to be out before season 6 next year, but I'm not going to bank on that. It could happen. If it does, that'd be wonderful. I'm also doing an extra giveaway as part of this video. It's a $20 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. But here we go. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through each of the storylines and just do predictions that way, starting with Brienne and Podrick. In case it wasn't evident from the episode, Gwendoline Christie said that she missed Sansa's candle, and she'll probably find out about that and be super crushed. She said that she felt like Brienne had been sitting there for weeks, waiting to see something. It also shoots down theories that Sansa and Reek might run into Brienne. I know a lot of you guys are wondering, is Stannis still alive? We didn't see that sword run through his face. As is tradition with shows like Game of Thrones, they're not dead till their head is chopped off and the body is burned. I still think she did kill him. The whole point of Stannis' storyline in the finale is letting us know that he is not Azor Ahai. His army's decimated, he has no more heirs. Essentially, the Baratheon line, save for Gendry, is dead. His king's blood is spilling out, so he really has nothing to offer in the War for the Dawn. So Brienne and Podrick are probably going to shift their attention back to Sansa at Winterfell, or who they think is still at Winterfell. That means she'll have the Boltons and Ramsay in her target sites. So we might get to see some Brienne versus Ramsay. Moving on to Samwell and Gilly, this is actually a pretty easy one. They're going to Old Town. They were scouting locations at places that looked like they could double for Old Town, so we could see that place in season 6. And I don't think that they would show us Old Town without showing us the outside of buildings, so it's not going to be like just the inside of a library that they could be shooting in any studio anywhere. Old Town is like the next big place in Westeros we haven't seen yet, aside from Highgarden. Think about the Citadel. It's like the biggest location of learning and knowledge in Westeros, so of course the series is going to have to go there at a certain point. There's really only a couple places in the world Samwell can go to get information about fighting the White Walkers, and that would be the Citadel, or it would be like Asshai way over in the east. There just aren't that many places. It takes a long time to become a maester though, so I don't think that Samwell will be a maester at the end of the series. It takes way longer than the 2 or so years that we have left. Moving on to Sansa and Reek, who the last time we saw them were jumping off the battlements at Winterfell. I know everyone wondered, are they dead? No, they jumped into like a giant snowbank. You have to remember that the snow is like 6 feet deep. Of all the likely places they could go, Sansa knows that her brother is still alive and Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. So, she doesn't know that he just got the shit stabbed out of him. So they could head there for protection, or they could head for Theon's family. They could head towards the Iron Islands. We do have that pirate character that sounds an awful lot like Euron Greyjoy coming onto the show, so we could see more Ironborn stuff. It makes sense that Reek would try to go to his family's home. That being said, I think that Sansa is going to be the one to take charge, and I think that she would want to go for the Wall just because it's a familiar place. She hasn't been there, but she knows that it's heavily fortified, and there are men that will protect her. Little does she know about the White Walker army and the Night's King. That's going to be a bit of an eye-opener. I know a lot of you are asking about which personality is going to win out. Will Reek turn back into Theon, or will he be just crazy Reek for the rest of season 6? The show is playing it down the middle. He does seem cognizant of his life as Theon. He still remembers things. He remembers Theon Greyjoy. The book version of Reek is a little crazier, but I think he's going to be more of the same. He'll be more like he was this season. He will never go back to being the Theon Greyjoy before he met Ramsay Bolton. Speaking of which, on to Ramsay and the Boltons. What's going on with them? They just kicked the shit out of Stannis' army, and Ramsay looks like he is having the time of his life killing all the survivors. I know a lot of people are upset we didn't get to see the pink letter, but I do think we'll see some things from that storyline. They'll find that Sansa's gone, and they'll have to replace her so that the other lords of the North will still listen to the Boltons. They were using Sansa to maintain their hold on the North because the people of the North were loyal to the Starks, and as long as there's a Stark in Winterfell, there's the promise that they will do whatever the Boltons ask. If like the Karstarks and the other lords of the North were to find out that Sansa had escaped, they would probably try to track her down, rally around her, and start a new war in the North. So the Boltons are going to do everything they can to prevent that from happening. Look at their army though. This is a huge army. What's going to happen with that? Well, if they don't start a war with the Lannisters, then they'll probably get taken out by the White Walker army when they move south of the Wall. which it is very possible that we could see. Why else would you neutralize Jon Snow in the story, the only person who cared about preventing the White Walkers from getting south, if you didn't want the White Walkers to get south? So the Boltons and their army aren't just going to sit around in Winterfell all year next year. There will probably be some conflict with either King's Landing or some of the other Lords of the North. Don't forget about Littlefinger either. He's probably going to try and take advantage of that situation in the North. Remember, he wants control. Moving down to King's Landing, so we have to talk about Cersei versus the Faith. We met Robert Strong, who is the Zombie Mountain. He's the mountain that's been lying on Qyburn's table all year. In the books, it's implied that he doesn't have a head, so I was a little disappointed to see that he very clearly had a head on the show, but I can understand why they did it that way for practical reasons. There's still a couple things from the books that they have not passed yet, and I think that one of those will be this Cersei plot. If you have read the books, you probably know what I'm talking about. Just please use spoiler tags when you're going to talk about it. But think about it as being a slight twist of Tyrion's trial last season. It'll be almost the exact same thing, just, flipped on its head. I think the real surprise is who Robert Strong is going to end up fighting. And no, I'm not expecting Clegane Bowl. But on to Jaime and Myrcella. So the last we saw them, it looked like Myrcella was going to die. She could survive. She's still alive in the books. She just gets maimed. What is Jaime going to do about it, though? Trystane is on that boat, so he's probably not going to kill him because he doesn't want to start a war with Dorne. This is one of those things that could drive Jaime over the edge. He was trying to be like the good dad. That's the whole reason he went to Dorne. They are filming in Dorne next year, so we will get more of the Sand Snakes and Doran Martell, but I don't think they're going to turn that boat around. I sure do hope Qyburn has some medicine for that poison. Would it not be ridiculous to see zombie Myrcella, Qyburn raises her just like he raised the mountain? She will be changed, sir. Moving over to the east though, what about Daenerys and that Khalasar? Very clearly there are a couple things that have to happen. She's going to have to win over the new Khal. She might even have to get married to him, so it'll be like a twist on what happened in season 1 where she married Khal Drogo. 2, she could win them over with Drogon after he recovers, but I don't think that's going to be happening in the first or second episodes. I fully expect, as is the tradition with Game of Thrones, that Season 6, Episode 1 will pick up immediately after the finale leaves off. It looks like Drogon could be out of commission for at least a couple episodes. Long enough for Jorah and Daario to find her, and for the three of them to try and figure something out. But yes, I do think that she will add those Dothraki soldiers to her fold eventually over the course of Season 6. She is the uniter, so she is slowly uniting the East, but it's a big place, so she's still only just got a fraction of it. What about Tyrion and Varys and Meereen though? I know a lot of you are asking, is Varys the Harpy? Was he the one controlling all those people? It's totally possible. That would be a twist. I'm not expecting it. He'll be successful in Meereen in a way that he was not successful in King's Landing. Or I should say, he was successful in King's Landing, but nobody gave him any credit for it. But he won't be beloved in the way that Daenerys is beloved. People just won't shit on him as much. They have a whole lot of whores in Meereen though, so he should be just fine while Daenerys is away. Tyrion and Varys' scenes are always a lot of fun. Not quite as funny as Tyrion and Jorah, but we have Daario and Jorah, so I think that that's where a lot of the comedy will flow in the Eastern storyline. As much as a lot of shit goes down on the show, there's always a lot of comedy from unusual pairings, like Arya and the Hound. Speaking of which, onto Blind Arya. So we're basically up to wins a winner with Arya's storyline. She's a survivor, she will slowly get used to being blind, but I don't think any of us ever expects her to fully become a faceless person. She'll continue to learn more about the many-faced god and the faceless men, but I think at a certain point, after she regains her sight, she will leave. That might get pushed into Season 7, but I think that her base programming is Arya Stark, and that list will always win out. So do not be surprised if Needle makes a reappearance sometime during Season 6. On to the main event though, Jon Snow, the Wildlings, Melisandre, everybody up at the wall. Starting with Jon Snow, of course. The big conversation here is what Kit Harington has been saying. He has said in interviews that David Nutter, the director, told him he's dead, and he had a very Tony Soprano type talk with Dan and Dave about his character dying. So what does that mean? Most likely that his character is medically pronounced dead, like his heart is beating, his brain activity is slowing down. But they didn't burn the body, so what's going to happen in episode 1? We'll probably at least see the body. But when Kit Harington says that he's not coming back, I think the language that he uses is very important. So I think that what Dan and Dave mean is that Jon Snow is not coming back. He will come back, but he will be changed in the way that Lady Stoneheart is changed from Catelyn Stark. She is not the same character when she comes back. She's a completely new identity. So think of that in terms of Jon Snow. There are a couple tinfoil theories about how he could have survived, but I don't think he survived. I think he's actually dead. So a resurrection will be required if he's not taken north of the wall and co-opted by the White Walkers. If Kit Harington sits out season 6 in the way that Bran sat out season 5, it could be because someone takes his body north of the wall and we don't see what happens with him. What does this mean in terms of what's going on at the wall? Because Melisandre, Davos, and the Night's Watch are still there. They still have a job to do, keep the White Walkers from getting through. I don't think they would have done this to Jon Snow if they did not want the Walkers to get through. Like, we need to get to the point in season 7 when White Walkers are south of the wall and there's this giant battle in Westeros, like when there's snow coming down on King's Landing. In order for that to happen, the White Walkers need to bring down the wall, and they can't do that if you have really smart people that know how to fight them at the wall, and that was Jon Snow. The rest of the Night's Watch, like Alliser Thorne here, they're a bunch of asshats. They're going down like a sack of potatoes the minute the White Walkers march on the wall. In the books, Melisandre talks about how at the wall, her power is at its greatest. The TV show changed things a little bit. She never actually went with Stannis when he marched on Winterfell. She always stayed at the wall. Presumably, the show sent her back to the wall so that she could deal with this Jon Snow situation. And keep this in mind too, Kit Harington was just photographed recently in Ireland where the cast shoots. They haven't started shooting season 6 yet, that happens in a couple months, but why would he stick around with the rest of the cast if he wasn't going to be part of the next season? So we'll at least see his body in episode 1. He could sit the season out, like he could mysteriously disappear, someone could take his body, but I do feel like he will come back. It's just like everything in the book narrative points towards him being a big figure in the War for the Dawn. The biggest thing being that at the end of the war, the White Walkers will form a truce with the humans, and Jon Snow will become a future Night's King to help protect that treaty north of the wall. All just speculation, but I do feel like we will see the wall come down sometime before season 7 is over. It's just too big of a moment to not deliver on. It'd be like this big spectacular special effects sequence, like one of those episodes that they show in IMAX. So here's my big question for you guys. Why do you think that Kit Harington and Dan and Dave are so adamant about Jon Snow not coming back? Do you think it's all misdirection and that Kit Harington will come back as a different character? I know it might seem like things are over for like the next 9 months, but I will be doing weekly bonus videos going forward. So don't worry, I'll keep doing plenty of Game of Thrones videos. It'll all be okay. What I think I'm going to do for my next bonus video is a breakdown of all the resurrections that have happened on the snow, including the Red God's resurrections as well as the White Walkers' resurrections. Just a reminder that in my Q&A video tomorrow, I'll announce the winner of the giveaway of this video and my book giveaway in my finale video. If you have no idea what's going on with that, just be sure to check out my finale video. While you guys wait for that Q&A to post, you can click here for my finale video, and you can click here to learn all about Aegon the Conqueror and the early history of the Targaryen family. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are all awesome. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.